Well, hello guys. This is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl back with another fantastic video for you. Hope you all are having a wonderful Friday. I am so excited to bring you all another record haul, and I thought it would be kind of fun to do this one live. I usually pre-record these, but I thought, well, I think this would just be fun and a great interaction with some of the Vintage and Vinyl community. So that is what we are doing today. And I have a record haul that's primarily 50s, some 60s, but it's going to be fun to look through some records I purchased over the last couple of months. Some were given to me, some I have bought through either Discogs, eBay, or local record stores. And it's just been so fun to get all of these in. Now, I am still missing one record I ordered, and I think the post office is just a little bit slow. So we'll see if I get that other Johnny and the Hurricanes album soon. I didn't check my mail today, so maybe it's waiting for me, and I'll discover it after this live, of course. So today I am wearing my record tie. I got this from Tina over at A Vision of Vintage Co. She sent this as friend mail last Christmas. And I love this tie, Tina. It is so fun. And I'm telling you, women can rock ties. So I love the idea of this. And it's just so me and so fun. And then Debbie over at Our Vagabond Travels sent me this amazing little music note brooch. It's actually sheet music with the little, is that a treble clef? I don't know my music notes very well. And I should, because my grandmother's a music teacher or was a music teacher. But anyway, it is a wonderful little brooch. And to top it all off, I have my great-grandfather's hat on, Papa B. So very fun ensemble today for the exciting record unboxing. Let's see who we've got in the chat. I saw lots of folks popping in. We have Kansas Picker here. Oh, you'll be listening while you babysit. How wonderful is that? Thank you for tuning in. Say hello to the kiddos for me. We've got TC tuning in. I love TC. He's got a great channel. So if you are not subscribed to TKR Video Central, make sure you go subscribe. He's got some really fun videos. He does a lot of record hauls from Two Hip Chicks. And I'm blanking out. Oh my gosh, TC, forgive me. Anyway, make sure you go subscribe. Record Crate. Jeez Louise. Adam over at Record Crate and Two Hip Chicks, he shares a lot of vinyl he gets from them, and he finds some really obscure and fun things. So definitely go subscribe to TC. Peterson is here with all of her fun emojis. So welcome, Peterson. Thanks so much for joining. We've got Deb Sherman. Hello, hello. Well, I'm glad you're excited to start the weekend this way. Tim is coming in from Tia Fane. And I have a wonderful package from Tim, so I might unbox that at the end of this live. A little fun friend mail bonus. So, Tim, I'm glad you are here, and I'm really excited about that package you sent me. Sharon Delaney is here. Welcome, Sharon. Bob Duant Bob is here. Hello to Bob and Vlada. So, welcome, welcome. Hello, proud American. Delbert. I love seeing Delbert's little comments in the chat. They just make me so happy. Hello there, Katie. I love you, Delbert. You're great. And then we've got Christina Taylor, Thrifting Up North, tuning in. Welcome, Christina. And let's see who else is in the chat. I see lots of people saying hello to each other, which is fabulous. Laura Melendez, Vintage Thrifted Treasures. I saw you went live earlier with some fun Christmas ornaments, and I wanted to pop in, but I was in the middle of getting ready for this show, so I missed it, and I'm so sorry, Laura, but I'll go back and catch the replay. That's the wonderful thing, is there's always replays, so never fear if you miss something. You can always catch it later. Tim and Jerry are here, Vintage and Vino. And Jerry just had a great sale today with Tiger over at Tiger's Timeless Treasures. They had a fun sale, and I was really glad to be a part of it and see all the cool things they had. I really love that blue glass piece that Tiger had. And then, Jerry, you had that adorable little plush that I thought was so fun from the 70s. So great live today, guys. And Angela is tuning in, the fabulous creator of our live sale calendar. So welcome, Angela. Glad you're getting to relax a little bit. Sheila is here, and I'm so glad you're excited to tune in. Evan is here. Hey, Evan. Evan is always on some great vinyl chats around the YouTube, and he tunes in to the same show I do every Saturday night at 10 p.m. And now it's also on Mondays as well at 8 p.m. And Bob's floating around in the chat. He's there as well. And it's a great show. So if you love doo-wop, 50s music, definitely tune in to Johnny G, because you guys are missing out if you don't follow him here on YouTube. He does a great live show with real vinyl, all original 45s on his YouTube every week. And I try to catch it. Sometimes I miss it live, but I always rewatch the replay. And he has some obscure and wonderful 50s doo-wop records on that show, as well as on Monday nights, he does a little bit more 60s stuff, some rockabilly, some other fun things. So I love tuning into Johnny G. So if you're not following him, go do that. It will be definitely a fun show on Saturday, so make sure you tune into that. And I'm thrilled that I could be there, Jerry. It was just wonderful. Oh, no live. You hit the wrong button. Okay. That happens, Laura. I know sometimes YouTube can be confusing, and lately it's been a little bit funky for all of us. So I'm glad it's up and running and you got all of that figured out. So I've got a fun haul today to share with you. Now, these are records. Some were sent to me through friends in this community, and then a few of them I've bought myself. These are all records that have been on my want list for a while, and I haven't picked up, and now I finally got them. So I'll start out with some really cool records for you. The first one, let me get myself organized over here. I didn't put these in the order that I should have. So let me flip these around. Here we go. The first one I want to share is really, really cool. And this record is fantastic. And I can't believe that I actually got this record. Because if you know anything about Bo Diddley, you know that Bo Diddley records are pretty hard to come by in good condition. And he's definitely been on my want list for a while. So let me get the sleeve off for you so I can show you this record. And I was really excited to hunt this down. I found it on Discogs for an amazing price of, I think, like $20. So this is really cheap for this record. And all of these I'm going to share with you today are first true pressings, which is always exciting as a record collector. This is on Chess. And of course, this is Bo Diddley's self-titled album that came out in 1958. Now, Bo Diddley is from Mississippi, and this is just a fabulous record. Now, this record features some of Bo Diddley's greatest songs, in my opinion, including I Am a Man and Bo Diddley, which were his first big hits. And I think it's kind of interesting. I was looking up I Am a Man, and I had no idea that there was actually an answer song. And I love that about 50s music, is a lot of times there's an answer song to certain songs that come out. So actually, what's fabulous is that Muddy Waters did an answer song to I'm a Man, and he called it Manish as an answer song since Bo Diddley was so young at the time, which I think is just fun. So this, of course, features Bo Diddley, I'm a Man, Bring It to Jerome, Before You Accuse Me, Hey Bo Diddley, Dearest Darling, Hush Your Mouth, Say Bossman, Diddley Daddy. Now I have to say that's on the B-side. That's probably actually one of my favorite songs off of this record. Diddley Wah Diddy. Who Do You Love? Pretty Thing. I mean, this just has so many amazing Bo Diddley songs on it. Very, very amazing record to have in my collection, and I'm just so excited about it. I did play a little bit of this over on Instagram, so if you do follow me at vintage_and_vinyl, you will have seen this record. Again, I think I mentioned, but this is on the Chess label. So there is the Chess label, and this is just so fabulous. So this is the original silver Chess label. This is a mono press, and a very, very exciting record to have. Now, this has a little bit of wear to it, to be quite honest. This is not in the best condition. You know, I would say that this is a VG, so it does have some surface scratches and noise and sound. But you know what? To own a Bo Diddley record, especially this one that's so hard to get, is just very, very exciting. So I'm thrilled about that. Hey, Tiger, and there's Tiger. He had a fabulous sale today. So yay, Tiger. I'm glad that you were with Jerry today. I really enjoyed that. And Bob is saying he saw Bo in 2005 when he rapped. Oh my goodness, that would have been a concert to see. It really, really would have. Oh my goodness. I tell you, there's so many artists. I wish I could just go back and see. And people ask me a lot. I think it kind of goes with the vintage theme, as people say, what era would you go back to if you could time travel? And there's so many eras I would want to go back to. But primarily, I would want to go back to the 50s. Why? Because I could see all of these artists in concert, go to the record hops. I mean, just how amazing would that be? There's just something absolutely incredible about rock and roll, blues, and everything Bo Diddley did. So very excited to have that. Now, speaking of Bo Diddley, I was able to get his other release, and this is pretty exciting because I didn't think I would actually get this, and I was lucky enough to find it on Discogs. Now, sometimes on Discogs, things come up and you can hit like a little button on there and say, okay, I'm looking for this record. Well, lo and behold, one day this record just came up for sale. Now, you notice this does not have the sleeve. So, unfortunately, I don't have the sleeve, but I was thrilled enough just to get it. And this is, of course, Go Bo Diddley that came out in 1959 on the silver checker label. And of course, this features the great grandfather. Oh, yeah, don't let it go. Dearest darling, little girl. The clock strikes 12. The flip side of this record has Crackin' Up. I'm sorry. Bo's guitar, Willie and Lily. You Don't Love Me, and Say Man. And Say Man and Crackin' Up, I mean, he had some great hits with those two songs. And this is just a fabulous record. Now, this record is in about VG condition, so it's not in the best of shape. But again, when you find a record that usually sells for a couple hundred, this is definitely a real treasure. And of course, I love Bo Diddley. You just can't go wrong with some classic Bo Diddley. So very excited about those two records. Those are fantastic. And Tim is saying that he was fortunate to see a farewell performance of my favorite opera tenor. Little did I know he would keep giving farewell performances for another 3 years. You know, Tim, that happens a lot. And it's funny because I actually got tickets to see Elton John. I love Elton John. And I saw Elton John in concert for his farewell tour. And then, of course, I think he's doing 2 rounds of that tour because, of course, all the tickets were so popular. So I got another set of tickets to go again because I love Elton John. So I was very excited to see him on his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour. So that's Bo Diddley. Very excited to pick those up. And I'm going to move them over here to do more records so I can show you guys this. Now, the next record that I picked up, now this is the one I talked about at the beginning of the live. I am waiting for its fellow record to come in the mail. And I don't know when I will get it because it was shipped media mail. And media mail is kind of slow, but I might be able to pick it up soon from the post office. So I hope so. But this is Johnny and the Hurricanes featuring Red River Rock. Now, this record is fantastic. This is an original press on the Warwick label. And I love Johnny and the Hurricanes. They have kind of a fun instrumental rock and roll sound. And this came out in 1959. Now, this is a mono press. And they were really popular in Europe. And of course, Red River Rock had a huge, huge hit because it was number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 when it came out. And I'm always fascinated by chart positions. I know a lot of people probably find that boring, but I'm a little bit of a music nerd. And I have to say, I love when I can find out, okay, when did this come out? What was it on the charts? Because that's just always so interesting to me. So I love the chart positions. This is kind of funny because this was sold to me by a seller off of Discogs called Vintage Vinyl. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm wondering if this is the same Vintage Vinyl that has a booth near where Patrick lives, Trusty Huckster Mercantile. So I'm interested to see if this is the same person. It may not be, but I thought that was cool to see their little price tag. I did pay only like $5 for it. This record is worth a lot more. So it was a really good find. And this is in VG Plus condition. So excellent find in my opinion. This features, of course, Red River Rock, Happy Time, Buckeye, Cutout, Lazy, Walkin', Crossfire, Storm Warning, Bamboo, Thunderbolt, which I love, Joyride, and Rockacha. But Red River Rock will always be classic and famous, great for Johnny and the Hurricanes. And a really cool album cover because check out that car. Isn't that amazing, that VW Bug? And look at them on the top there. Love, love, love that image. So fabulous little album there. And OTC saying that he's a total chart fanatic. Tons of books all about the major charts. That is awesome, TC. Yes, I am very interested in that. I'm not familiar with the Warwick label. That's totally new to me. You know, TC, I'm trying to remember because there's another artist I have on the Warwick label. I don't have tons on the Warwick label, and I really don't know its history, and that's something I need to look up. And I don't remember who else I have on Warwick. but I want to say, no, that can't be on Warwick. So I don't know. I'll look it up, TC, and I'll get back to you. But I can picture the album cover on Warwick, but I don't know which one it is. And we've got Edward coming in from El Unico Thrifter. So welcome, Edward. I'm glad you're here. So that is a fantastic album. You know, all of the stuff that Johnny and the Hurricanes did are pretty much instrumental rock, but it's just a fabulous album to put in on while you're doing other things, you know, or just have it in the background. Great little party album, too. So that's fun. And then this album, I just was showing this on my Instagram stories today because it was really rainy today. So it was nice for this type of album. This is a very subdued album. It's not, you know, classic 50s rock and roll, but it's just so much fun. This is Mr. Blue by the Fleetwoods on the Dalton label. And I have to say, I love the little fish. That is just such a cool little label. And this is Mr. Blue by the Fleetwoods. Of course, this has Confidential, the Three Candeleros, Raindrops, Teardrops, You Mean Everything to Me, Oh Lord, Let It Be, Come Softly to Me, which I have to say is a great song by the Fleetwoods, Serenade of the Bells, Unchanged Melody, We Belong Together, Come Go With Me. Now, it's interesting because they did Come Go With Me on side 2 of this album, but it was originally done by the Dell Vikings. And I have to say, I almost like the Dell Vikings version a little better, although the Fleetwoods, they changed it and made their own version of it. And it's still good, but it's nothing compared to the Dell Vikings. And I'm a huge Dell Vikings fan. So, you know, it's potato, but whatever you like. I just found it was really interesting to have that song on this album because I didn't know it came out on it originally. And then my favorite song, you would think would be Mr. Blue, but I have to say, I Care So Much is probably my favorite song off this entire album. And then Mr. Blue is on side 2, which I find interesting that they placed that on side 2 since it was such a big hit because Mr. Blue was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for a couple of weeks. So that's pretty amazing. So I don't know why it was side 2. I would have put it side 1, track 1 on this album. But what's interesting too about this particular album is that Mr. Blue was actually written by Dwayne Blackwell, and it was number 7 on the charts in Italy. Number 7 on the charts in Italy. What a random chart fact, but I find that totally fascinating that in Italy, this song was very popular. So this is a fun album. Like I said, I love the Dalton label, and I don't know much about the Dalton label. This is the first record I think I have on the Dalton label, and it features the fish. Gotta love the fish. Just fun, nice 50s blue. This album is in pretty good condition for its age. This is more of a VG Plus when I bought it, and I want to say I paid like $10 for it, which is a good price for this record. This record is harder to find, but I wouldn't say it's as hard as the Bo Diddley records. You're going to pay, if you want a mint copy of Go Bo Diddley, you're going to pay a couple $100 for that record. So this one's a little bit easier to get, but it is a fantastic record. And I also wanted to mention, this is just something kind of cool. I know a lot of people have different philosophies on the record jackets and damage, and this would be considered damage. But to me, I just think it's cool. Somebody owned this record, and in the 50s, they stamped their name on it. So whoever had this record had a pretty fancy stamp because it's JBH. I don't know who that was, but that is a pretty fancy stamp because usually I see like Sharpie on the record covers. So that's kind of fun. And then you've got all these great photos of the Fleetwoods. Look at them eating ice cream. Isn't that fantastic? And then you've got all of the dress of the time. Very fun 50s fashion. Look at that long dress and the hairstyle with the little flip. Just a fun album cover. And I have to say, this is a pretty cool record. So I was glad to own this. Now, this is more of your rainy day record. This is not something that you're going to put at a party and have like a full-on dance battle with. It's more subdued, but it's very fun. Hey, Nate, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And it's interesting to look at overseas charts. It is, Bob, and that's something I never looked at so much before until I was doing a little digging on Mr. Blue because I was curious, and it came up about the overseas charts, and I thought, oh, that's awesome. I need to check that out more because it's so fascinating. Hey, Debbie, welcome. I'm so glad you're tuning in. Dana is here. Welcome. And TC says, I'm always trying to find books out about various music charts. Canadians have been impossible ones to find. Canada, interesting, TC. Now, I've not heard that they're hard to find, and I don't think I've looked for them. I have seen other chart books in the past, but that is really interesting, and I wonder why that is, TC. I would love to kind of figure out the reasoning on that. I think that would just be amazing. Oh, I see Tim and Nate and all of Nate's boyfriends flirting in the chat. I find that great. Tim says that Nate's the heartbreaker. And if you followed all of that on Patrick's sale last night, you would know why, but that's hilarious. So I'm liking your comments today, guys. It's fun. Hey, Kate at Releve Vintage. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's see. Oh, and I wanted to show this too. Now, this was in the Fleetwoods album, and I always have fun with these sleeves. Now, I'm not a big fan of these for storing my records. I'm not a vinyl snob by any means, but I do find that if you can protect your vinyl, especially original presses that are harder to find, I like to use a poly sleeve so that there isn't any scratching or roughness against the record. However, if the inner sleeve is really cool, I like to save it. And this one is pretty cool. Now, this came with the Mr. Blue. I don't know that this is an original inner sleeve, and it probably isn't because this is for RCA Victor Records, and this came out on the Dalton label, so it's probably different. This record also, as I mentioned, is in mono. And what's cool about this is that this is actually advertising stereo sound. Now, stereo, I believe, came out in 1958. And it had been previously available in the 30s. The invention came about in the 30s, but it really wasn't released to the general public until 1958. And I think this is so cool. So this is a little ad for what is stereophonic sound. And they advertise also now available in new orthonic and living stereo. Now, RCA had a big thing about living stereo. That was there. You can see on the top of all the record jackets, they had living stereo. It was a big thing because they wanted people to kind of get into this new idea of stereo. Everyone was used to mono. Mono is basically one channel. So all the music is coming from one channel. Your drums, your guitar, your vocal, everything one channel. Stereo is two channels. So you can now place instruments on one channel and vocals on the other and have more of a complete orchestra sound. That really is the way to explain stereo. I find the best is just it's finally like you're getting a full orchestra in front of you instead of everything off of one channel. Now, I personally like mono, especially when you get into 50s records. I find that is really how the artist, it was originally recorded. It was intended to be that way. And I like mono records. I do look for mono records. But I always find, music history like this pretty cool and record history, and this is just awesome. So I'll read a little bit of this. It says, stereophonic sound on records is finally here. It will be widely discussed, widely written about, and perhaps widely misunderstood. It cannot help but be it is a complex achievement as well as an extraordinary one. We offer the following primer on the subject with hope that it will both help you in understanding how and why stereo works by chance to enhance the hours of listening pleasure stereo will offer in your home. Before stereo recording techniques were developed, the impulses of music were picked up by only one microphone. These impulses were then fed into one tape, from there to be a conventional monaural record, which you hear in your living room through one loudspeaker. The conventional record offered brilliant sound and exciting sound, but of necessity, it only offered one-dimensional sound. So yes, stereo is very, very 3D. Now, the simple and obvious fact remains that we all have two ears, and we are used to hearing things dimensionally. Generally speaking, your left ear has a tendency to hear what goes on in the left side of the room, and your right ear hears what goes on in the right side of the room. Your brain then does two jobs. It combines both the impression received by the left ear and that received by the right ear into one total impression, which we call music. At the same time, it remains spatial or dimensional impression, music to the left and music to the right. So let's compare hearing to seeing for a moment. You see images with your left eye, and images on the right with your right eye. Yet, because your brain can do two jobs at once, you get a total unified picture in its true perspective. Stereo sound is simply the attempt to give you music as it's heard by both ears. Essentially, what happens is that two microphones, left and right, pick up what goes on in the orchestra at the recording session. These two microphones feed the musical impulses to two soundtracks on tape. The two soundtracks are then pressed into the grooves on a stereo record. And of course, it goes on, it gets pretty technical, but I thought that was so fascinating. And that really does explain stereo well, because it's hard to explain that technical element to people. So unless you're really into vinyl and stereo and sound equipment and recording and all of that, it can be hard. So I thought this was a pretty cool little insert, and I love the graphics on it. Now, this says, listen to these other RCA Victor releases. So as I said, this would not have come with the original Mr. Blue album, but it's a fun little insert. So they're advertising here. You can get the Mancini touch, the Ames Brothers. Oh, the Ames Brothers are good. The Della Reese. You can get, Perry Como. You can get Rosemary Clooney. You can get, Harry Belafonte at Carnegie Hall, of course. Elvis's Gold Records, Mr. Lucky, Henry Mancini, and so many other fantastic artists. So this is a fun little snapshot in time and a great little piece of music record history. So this might be something I might save and frame, because I think that's just so cool. So I always save those. Oh, no worries, Bob. I'm so glad you got to tune in for a little bit. Let's see what I'm missing in the chat. Hi, Fluffy Otter. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Canada and Australia have books on major charts, but they're long out of print. Oh, and extremely hard to find. TC, that I know exactly what you're talking about, because there are books that I want for reference guides, like the Viking Glass book in the vintage community. We all look for that book, and it can sell for a couple $100 because it's out of print. So I know the frustration of that. And Angela is saying, great mug. And yes, this was sent to me by Angela Marksberry. She found it at a thrift store, and I got it from her. So yay, I'm so excited about it. I love my Milk Glass advertising mugs, which is very fun. Let's see who else is in the chat. Nate is saying Braun is good. Your father not so great. Oh, I'm sorry he fell, Nate. Just know that we're all thinking about you, of course. Hi, Amy. Welcome to the chat. Glad you're here. Let's see. Who else am I missing? Yes, just give it time, Nate, and he'll get hopefully a little bit stronger for the day. I know that's hard. My grandfather had dementia too, so that's something that's not easy. But just know we're all thinking about you. Okay, so a couple of other records I picked up. Now this is fun. This is Connie Francis, and I love Connie Francis. This is a compilation album, but it is an original album from 1959. So this is Connie Francis' greatest hits. And look at the record jacket on this. Is that not fabulous? I got to say, love that light blue top hat with the lilac purple. Just kind of a fun, stunning color combination. And this features, of course, Connie's greatest hits. So this is really why I chose this album. Connie has a lot of albums that you can pick from if you're looking at one to particularly get if you want to own any Connie Francis records. And of course, you get a lot of 45s. I like 45s, but I would prefer to have a full album if I can. I always look for full albums. That's just my preference. So I was really excited to find this. Now, as I said, this came out in 1959. It is mono. And this features Stupid Cupid on it, which we all know and love. Now, it was originally written by Neil Sedaka and Howard Greenfield for Connie Francis, and she had a huge hit with it. It was #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in August for almost 6 weeks. I mean, that is a long time to stay at the peak chart position. So pretty amazing, and you gotta love Stupid Cupid. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite Connie Francis songs, and I know everyone probably says that, but there's so many good songs on this album. Now, she is from Newark, New Jersey, and this album features Who's Sorry Now, Falling, Happy Days and Lonely Nights, Stupid Cupid, Carolina Moon, Plenty Good Lovin', which I have to say is another favorite of mine, Frankie, You're Gonna Miss Me, Lipstick on Your Collar. I should look up the chart position in that because that is a fabulous song as well. If I didn't care, my happiness, and I'm sorry I made you cry. So this is a fantastic Connie Francis album. If you are looking for Connie, I really would recommend this. It came out on the MCA label, and this is the MGM label. Jeez Louise. MGM label, and this is something that's pretty relatively inexpensive. I think I picked this up for around $10 in almost mint condition. So it was a very, very good album to find. So I would highly recommend that if you are looking for Connie Francis, because that has pretty much all of her quintessential work. Of course, there's other albums that you can get as well. You can really go down a rabbit hole with Connie, just like you can Andy Williams, Perry Como, any of those other artists. So a lot of fun records to look through on Discogs, but I was really glad to pick that up for such a good price. Now, this next record is a hard record to find, and I, again, am very lucky that I own it. I can't believe sometimes that I own some of these records that I do. Now, sometimes I have to go down and grade to actually own them because, original presses are so expensive. You'd be surprised how many 50s records really are getting up there in price because they're just becoming harder to find, and people love their records. So they really did play the heck out of them. And a lot of them just are not in the best of shape anymore. And I think, records got damaged as they went to basements. In the 90s, we moved to CDs and tape cassettes were in too. And a lot of record collectors kind of just, they put records in the basement and went to CDs. And a lot of those records, unfortunately, got damaged. So I think some of these records are becoming harder and harder to find. And I would like to know, I don't know how you find this out, and I'm not sure if you can, but I would love to know like how many of each record actually got pressed. I would assume that's pretty hard to find out. Nowadays you can find out about how many records they pressed, but not probably of these 50s records, but I would love to know. So this record here is very exciting. This is Eddie Cochran, and we unfortunately lost Eddie way too young. I mean, he could have made so many more fabulous albums, but I believe he died in 1960. He's from Minnesota, and this album features my favorite, Summertime Blues. All love Summertime Blues, and if you know Eddie Cochran, you know that song. So this is a fantastic record. Let me pull it out of the sleeve. It's got some great cover art. Again, love that someone, HJC, wrote their name on it. You know what? I wonder if it's that same person that had that other stamp. Didn't they have similar initials? I don't know. Let me go back and look. But this has, of course, so many great albums, so many great songs on it. This has Come On Everybody. Gotta say, love that. 3 Steps to Heaven. Cut Across Shortly. Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? Hallelujah. I Love Her So. Sitting in the Balcony. Summertime Blues. First time I heard that song, I instantly fell in love with it. And I knew I had to have this record, and I went looking for it. Lovin' Time. Something Else. Tell Me Why. Teenage Heaven. And my other favorite, Drive-In Show. I think Drive-In Show is probably my second favorite song. I don't know, it's competing with Summertime Blues, but this is a fantastic record. Now, of course, Summertime Blues hit number 53 on the Billboard Country Singles Chart, and then was number 1, I believe, on Billboard Hot 100 for a little while. But this is a fantastic, fantastic record. So very excited to own this. And I wish that I could own a few other of his records. They're just pretty expensive. So this is an exciting find, of course, with the Liberty label. Now, this is the colored Liberty label, and this was a great find. So all original presses here, which is always exciting, as I said, for collectors. I think that's such a fun find. Let's see. Oh, Evan used to have it. He says it's such a great album. Yes, Evan, it really is. Now, this one is not in the best of condition. I think it's a VG. I would rate it a VG minus. The guy listed as VG plus. I would say more VG minus. However, it does play. There is some surface noise, but I'm not going to hold it against it. It is just a great record. I think he was killed in a boating accident, Tim. I'd have to do some research on that. But anyway, we lost him, sadly, way too young. He was great. Let's see. What is Nate saying that's funny? I missed some things. Ron reads a lot. She loves historical bodice river. I think she would be amused as I would if I read one to her, Nate. I'm telling you, if you read some of those on your channel, I don't know if YouTube would take you down, but I think people would definitely tune into that. Car accident. Okay, yeah, car accident in 1960. I knew it was 1960, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So yeah, he did die in an accident, but that's so tragic. Just like Buddy Holly, we lost so many great people way too young. So this is a great album, Eddie Cochran. Very excited about that. I'll put all these back in the sleeves later after this live. Now, this album, speaking of people that we lost way too young, this is a killer album. I'm so excited I got this. I battled it out on eBay with a gentleman, and I have never seen this record come up for sale for under $100. Never, ever, ever, ever. I've been following this record for I don't know how many years now, but I've been trying to get it because I love Buddy Holly. Huge Buddy Holly fan, as we all are. And I finally won it. I couldn't believe it. It was going down to the last couple of seconds, and this guy kept outbidding me, and I was getting really mad. I'm like, darn it, come on, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. So I put in $28? He went up to 30. I went up to 35. And then I finally typed in $40.70, and I won it for like $40, 70 cents. Something like that, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And I was so excited that I finally won this album. And by the way, this is a fabulous price for this album. Now, there is some wear to this album. I will say it is not in the best condition. But again, just to have an original press of Buddy Holly's self-titled album on Coral is just amazing. I can't believe my two favorite Buddy Holly albums now I own. The other one I found with my dad when we were record hunting, and he actually found the original press of Buddy Holly and the Crickets with the guitars on the cover. Oh, fabulous. So this is just a very exciting album for me. Now, I love Buddy Holly. He's from Lubbock, Texas, and this is a 1958 press on Coral. It is an original press, and of course, this features none other than Peggy Sue. And Peggy Sue is number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1959. Buddy Holly's ability to have that hiccup in his voice when he sings. When you listen to Buddy Holly, you know what I'm talking about. He's got that hiccup, and it just makes him stand out. I absolutely adore that. I always listen for it very closely in all of his recordings. And Peggy Sue, of course, most notably was one of the recordings that you really could see it. It was very prominent. Not see it, but hear it. You guys know what I'm saying. And this is on the older Coral label, the Maroon Coral label. Check that label out. And this is a fabulous, fabulous find. So this record on side 1 has Peggy Sue, Look at Me, Listen to Me, Valley of Tears, Ready Teddy. Side 2 has Every Day, Mailman, Bring Me No More Blues. And that is actually probably my favorite song off of this album. Now, I have to say, I love Every Day. I love Ray Vaughan. Oh, that song is excellent. Peggy Sue, as much as I enjoy Buddy Holly's ability, like I talked about, to have that hiccup in his voice, which is so unique to him, Peggy Sue is actually one of my least favorite Buddy Holly songs, and it's arguably one of his most famous, most popular. So, I mean, I don't dislike it, but it's not my favorite. To me, I would have to say Words of Love, Ray Vaughan, Ready Teddy. Those are probably some of my other favorites. And there was a follow-up song to Peggy Sue. There's another album that features Peggy Sue Got Married, which is fun. If you haven't heard that song, that's definitely a fun listen. But I have to say, Mailman, Bring Me No More Blues is fabulous. So that is a great song. It's got Words of Love, You're So Square, Baby, I Don't Care, Ray Vaughan, and Little Baby. So this is a really amazing record to have. This one's hard to get. As I mentioned, if you look for this record, you're going to pay probably close to, $200, $300 for it. So if you can get it on a auction like I did, go down in condition, which I know how record collectors feel about that. I mean, I wouldn't buy it if it were a G or a Fair. Then you're really not even enjoying the record. But as like a VG minus, to a G plus, I would do it for this record because it's just so cool to own. So it's one of those things to say, like, I own the original press of Buddy Holly's self-titled album. So this is really exciting for me. So I was glad to get that. Yes. Oh yeah, Brenda Lee has that hiccup too. Gotta love Brenda Lee. Man, Debbie, there are so many albums I'm still looking for. But I was just looking up the other day records by the Hollywood Flames. Now, I do love my doo-wop group, so I was looking up the Hollywood Flames. There's a couple of novelty records. I got to say, I love some of the novelty records that came out in the 50s. Dinner with Drac is such a unique, it's kind of a bizarre record, I will say. We listen to some of these novelty records, you're like, what in the world? You know, it's like listening to Peanut Butter by the Marathons. Like, who came up with the idea to sing a song about peanut butter, literally the food, and make a song about it? But that's what's fun about those novelty records. So there's a whole slew of Halloween novelty records I'm looking for. I was also looking up yesterday, and let me make sure I get the title right. There's a couple. I always take screenshots of them when I see them. Yes, I was looking for the 4 epics, so I'm still looking for 4 epics, the cameos. I'm looking for the Continentals, Hollywood Flames, as I mentioned, the 5 discs, the Pyramids. My gosh, there's so many doo-wop groups I'm still on the hunt for, and I'll never get them all because some of their records are just so rare, but it's fun to hear. So I always tune into Johnny's show for some rare records on Saturday night, and then I listen to 50s on 5 all the time, and they have the doo-wop stop, which features some more popular doo-wop groups, but of course they've got a few rare ones thrown in, so I always listen for those. And what's pretty cool is over in the holiday weekend, Halloween, that is, they did a whole novelty records feature on 50s on 5. That's through SiriusXM, so I think I paid $5 for it, which is totally worth it because you get some really cool programming. And they had this whole series for an hour of just novelty records. So I was listening, and they had some amazing Halloween records that I would love to find. Hi, Christy Shamp. Welcome. Glad you're here. And Electric Treasure Hunter. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, I'm looking for, there's always records I'm looking for, and any 50s records really that I'm still on the hunt for. Some 60s. I mean, the list is always long as a vinyl collector. You hear a record and you're like, oh my gosh, I now have to find that on vinyl. So it's fun, and that's all in the thrill of the hunt. I love hunting for records. That's kind of fun. This next record is awesome. This is on Coral, and this is also on the Maroon Coral label. And this is Her Nibs, Georgia Gibbs on Coral. This is a fantastic record. Now, this features Ballin' the Jack, which tons of people covered. The Chordettes did it. I can't even begin to tell you how many people in the 50s covered Ballin' the Jack, but it was actually written by Chris Smith and Jim Burris in 1913. So that was the first recording of that, but of course it became very popular. Georgia Gibbs did a more sped up, faster paced version of it, of course. And I just love her voice. I think she's fabulous. This is an excellent record, by the way. This is in mono. And let's see. I'll give you the track list off of this. So we got Ballin' the Jack, Looks Like a Cold, Cold Winter. And this is fun. I love this song. And Christy, actually, from Tippy Wings Vintage, shares this a lot in her stories. She uses it. And I think it's a great song. If I knew you were coming, I had baked a cake. Now, Georgia Gibbs didn't originally write the song, but she recorded it, and her version is excellent. So I love that. If you still feel the same about you, Once Upon a Nickel, Shoo Shoo Baby. If I Don't Care, If the Sun Don't Shine. If I Were a Belle, of course, Red Hot Mama was a big hit for Georgia Gibbs. I'll Know, Get Out These Old Records. And a Razzmatazz, which I can't say very well, but that is a fun little jump song at the end. This is a fun little party record. Very fun, a lot of jump, kind of jazzy, fun music. Just great all around. Georgia Gibbs just has this voice that's incredible. So I'm very excited to have this on vinyl. Now, she did a lot of versions of this record. It had been re-released a ton. There was other versions with the same title. So if you look up Her Nibs, Georgia Gibbs, you'll find that there's tons of other records that have different song tracks on it, but with the same cover essentially and title. There's some with a different cover. I really like this particular version. It's the one I was looking for. So highly recommend this with this cover on the Coral label if you can get it. Georgia Gibbs is just amazing. So many good artists out there from the 50s. Let's see. I picked up a record by Miriam Mabeka for $1 the other day. Ooh, Nate probably will like that. Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know what nibs is. So if you get the official dictionary definition, it basically means someone of self-importance. And sometimes it can be used more of a term of kind of a mocking term to mock someone that thinks they're all high and mighty, But they're using it here as her nibs, Georgia Gibbs, because it rhymes. It's very clever, but it goes along with the theme. She's a very important musician. So that's kind of what that means. It does seem like it might have another odd connotation, but it doesn't. So that's really the definition of nibs. And great records that people are finding. Oh yeah, I'm curious, Tiger, have you listened to it? I know someone was saying that they were looking for a record player still. That might have been Tim and Jerry. And there's a lot of good record players that you can buy vintage. And you got to be up to restoring some of them or finding someplace that will work on them. But there's a lot of good vintage record players out there, or you can go modern. I do have a modern turntable. I like Fleetwoods. I'm not sponsored by them. I just really think they make good turntables for a good price. You get a lot of features that you don't get on a lot of low-end turntables, but for the price, you're getting them at a really great budget model. And they have more expensive models with different features, but I really like Fluence. So they're a good record player. Okay, now this next record was exciting to find because it's not a particularly rare record, but it's one that I've been trying to find in good condition. It's been listed on many sites for a long time for, a couple of bucks. Problem is they're all in poor or fair condition. So I've been waiting for one to come about in good condition, and I finally found one in VG Plus shape. I would almost grade this a mint minus because I was listening to it the other week and I was like, this sounds really good. There's a few tracks on side 2 that I would say are a little bit more VG plus, but for the most part, this is a pretty good record. And I was very excited to find it. Now, Angela Marksbury had found a compilation album that featured Music, Music, Music by Teresa Brewer, my favorite Teresa Brewer song ever. And I was very excited to get that comp, but now I actually own the original album, which is very exciting. Now, Music, Music, Music was written by Bernie Bam and Stephen Weiss. It was originally recorded, there's Louie, by Etain Piano Miller in 1949. So he was the one to first actually record it. Of course, it was very popular and re-recorded and redone. The original was done on Rainbow Records, and this is done on Coral by Teresa Brewer. I believe this one also has the maroon Coral label, that earlier Coral label before they went to an orange Coral label. So let me pull this out here. And this is what I mean. Most records come in this paper sleeve. I always transfer them to a different safer inner sleeve. So I really like those. There's Louie barking like crazy. I really, really like those poly sleeves. I just think they're safer for your vinyl and they won't scratch because this kind of record sleeve is very scratchy and abrasive to vinyl. And so I always switch them over. But this one I have not switched yet since I just got it in and it was in my new arrivals bin. But love Teresa Brewer. Her voice is amazing. This is a fabulous record. Now, Music, Music, Music is my very favorite song off of this album, but there are many other good songs. So put another nickel in, Music, Music, Music. At Sundown, My Buddy, There'll Be Some Changes Made. Remembering, Sunday, Jealous, Where the Black-Eyed Susan Grow. And I have to say, that's a very interesting song. Probably not my favorite, but it's fantastic on this album. When I Leave the World Behind, Nora Malone, Darkness on the Delta, and A Good Man Is Hard to Find. That's probably my second favorite song. She did a lot of covers. I mean, these are all covers, but Teresa just has a great voice. So highly recommend this mono press from 1955. I love Music, Music, Music. It's a fun little up-tempo kind of, jazzy, ragtimey. It's just fun. It's just a great, great, great album. So if you can find that, highly recommend Teresa Brewer, and got some great art on the front. Hey, Paula, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Debbie is tuning in. Welcome, Debbie. Yes, sing along with Louie. That's right. Louie's just wanting to sing along. She loves the vinyl. Oh, your mom was a huge Teresa Brewer fan. That's awesome, TC. Yes. Love Teresa Brewer. I remember the first time I heard music. I heard the Teresa Brewer version. So that will always be the best version in my mind. But I heard it and I knew that was another one of those things I knew instantly. Okay, I have to have this on vinyl. So I went looking for it. Hey, Marianne, all on the Attic Treasures. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Nate saying that his ex used to play Remembrance on the piano. It is a lovely piece, Nate. It really is. Okay, so the last album that I have to share with you all today is awesome. And this was sent to me by Pamela Blanchard over at Oak Grove Mercantile on Instagram, but she's Pamela Blanchard on YouTube. And she found this for me at an estate sale. And she called me from the estate sale on video chat, and she's, Katie, they've got vinyl. And I was like, oh, they got vinyl? Okay, I got to see what vinyl they have. So she's flipping through the bins. And there's a lot of good stuff, but, it's kind of common. A lot of Andy Williams and so forth. Huge Andy Williams fan, but I have enough Andy Williams to, play music for an entire apartment building. I love him so much. So I had all of those albums, and she stumbled across this, and I said, whoa, wait, I got to have this. So she found this. And this is Leroy Van Dyke, Walk On By. Now, this is the stereo version, so this is not the mono version, but this came out in 1961, and this is a fabulous, fabulous album by Leroy Van Dyke. Now, of course, Walk On By spent 37 weeks on the country charts and 19 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 1. 19 weeks. Holy cow. That is just absolutely mind-boggling to me, but it is a great song. So this features Walk On By, Big Man in a Big House, My World is Caving In, Funny How Time Slips Away, Sea of Heartbreak, another great favorite by Leroy Van Dyke. I think other people covered that song. I'd have to look that up. The Image of Me, Take Good Care of Her, I Miss You Already, Heartaches by the Number, another classic Leroy song, Three Hearts in a Tangle, Handful of Friends, and Big Shoes. So this was a great record. Now this is featuring a little bit more of a country rockabilly sound, but I do have to say, as much as I'm not a huge country fan, I love this album. And I love Walk On By, Leroy Van Dyke, of course, classic. I don't know originally it came out in 1961 on this album, but I think it was previously released on a 45 in the 50s. But it is a great, great record. So I'm very excited to have that. I did say it was on the Mercury label, so that is a very fun pickup. And yay, Pam, for finding that for me. I never thought I would have that record, so I was really glad that it was just sitting in a bin waiting for me at an estate sale where Pam lives in Alabama, so that was fun. I'm a child of the 70s, so I remember the murder trial of Claudine Loggett, former wife of Andy Williams. Interesting, Tim. I need to do some more research on that. I wonder, because Andy Williams has an album. I can picture the cover. It's just him. And it says, I'm finally alone again. And I wonder when he divorced his wife. Interesting, Tim. That's going to be some research for me. That is amazing. Hi, Scott. Well, not the murder trial, but just the history of it all is amazing. Welcome, Scott. I'm so glad you're here. So these are the albums I picked up. I'm really glad you guys could join me today for a vinyl haul. I will have more, as I mentioned, and I'm trying to find that record. It's over here. I have another Johnny and the Hurricanes coming. I just hope that it arrives soon. So I don't know when it will get here, but I'm anxiously awaiting because it's been weeks. So I hope it didn't get lost in the mail. But Beat Nick Fly by Johnny and the Hurricanes. So that will be fun. So I'm very glad. It was a huge scandal. Well, Tim, I've got to do some research on that. Let's see. People are, Jennifer remembers this. So this is something I've never researched. So I'll have to do some digging into that. Let's see. Leslie Gore was a close family friend of yours and attended their wedding. How cool. And she's in New York now. That is awesome, Marianne. It's so cool how you guys all have a connection to music. I don't see her in the chat, but one of our regular chatters, she's gotten to see a lot of doo-wop groups live, and it is just amazing. So I'm always interested to see what concert she's attending. I do have tickets to see the Temptations and the Four Tops. Now, there's only one member of each group left in those groups, but they are coming to Jacksonville and the tickets were inexpensive, so I got them. So we'll see by Christmas if I can go to that or not. I'm still kind of waiting with all the events happening in the world to see if I feel like it's a good decision or not, but I would really love to go to see them, even though I know not all the members are there, but it's still fun to go. Great music. Let's see. Didn't Andy Warhol design an album cover? He did, but I don't know what album cover, Gino. I'm sorry, I'm not very well versed in all album covers, but that is something I will do a little deep dive on and then get back with you guys in my next vinyl video. I'll write that down and remember to do some research on it. So guys, that is it for me today. I appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully you got to enjoy some fun, cool art on the covers and hear about some great artists of the 50s and 60s. If any of these artists you've not heard of before, which I'd be kind of surprised because they're all legends, but if you haven't, and there are songs that you don't recognize, highly recommend spending some time on YouTube, giving them a listen, because they really will brighten your day and just wonderful. Love 50s music. You just can't beat it. There's a sound to it that's just amazing, that just does something to you. That's all I can say. So guys, that is it for me. Make sure you tune in to Tales from the Triptych this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Patrick's channel. I will be a part of that, and Patrick is going to be telling his tale on Abington pottery. So that is going to be a fantastic deep dive into Abington, and we can show you some really cool things on the screen. So that's Tales from the Triptych on Patrick's channel this Sunday at 8, and then there'll be a lot of fun stuff coming up on my channel next week. We've got a duo dive with Patrick and me, and that will be on Patrick's channel on Wednesday. And we'll be talking all about Just One More Dachshund Rescue and the fundraiser Patrick is a part of, and showing some really cool dachshund stuff and dog stuff and fundraiser fun. So make sure you tune in to that so we can support those dogs, because they really, really do need our help. And that brings me to my next little closing point before we shut off the live for today. If you still have a trusty traveler box, make sure you send that back to Patrick. Just a little friendly reminder, because Patrick is trying to auction off those boxes on eBay for the dogs, and we do want to make sure we get all of those back. He had 21 of those geocaching boxes that went out, and they were due in October, but he only has 7 back. So if you know someone that has a trusty traveler box, please make sure you just tell them, hey, send that on to Patrick, so we can get that done for the dogs, because like I said, they really need our help. And Dawn over at the Just One More Dachshund Rescue does specialize in senior dogs, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of medical bills involved. So I want to make sure we help those dogs, I don't know, something. It's Friday, and I'm losing my words here. Anyway, guys, thanks again for tuning in. I hope, as always, folks, that you will stay in, stay safe, and binge YouTube, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye now. What